Hey friends, this is Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you a process video of making a card for a friend's son going off to college. And I start out with the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. I like this punch board with the one exception that it doesn't have the actual measurement for a typical 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card that we typically make with Stampin' Up. The Stampin' Up envelope punch board is very similar, but it does have that measurement, so I would recommend it first. As you see, I just punch the notch and then I use the scoring tool to draw the line and fold on the score lines. It's very easy and very quick, and you can make your own envelopes with any paper. You can make envelope liners as well. And I typically make this card first, the envelope first, so that I can make sure the card will fit in the envelope before I've gone too far in the process. So here's my Stampin' Up trimmer, and I love this trimmer. It's my favorite trimmer. If you notice, it has two blades. One, the darker blade, is the actual cutting tool, and then the lighter gray is the scoring tool, and that's very handy when you're making cards. I highly recommend that trimmer. I'm going to start out with using my Sahara Sand ink pad, and I'm just going to use a sponge dauber to go around the edges just to give it a little nice effect. There I am testing my envelope. I've learned my lesson before. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't, and as you'll see, this one even is a little bit snug. So you use that dauber and you just go around the edges in circular motions. I'm working off of a Ranger craft mat, which is really nice. It allows the ink just to kind of spread evenly, and you start in circular motions and go around, and just, you could really do this all day to get it perfect, but I'm just wanting a light background, so I'm doing it quickly and just trying to get it covered because I'm going to actually stamp over this in a little bit for a background effect. So as you see, just use those circular motions and go around until you reach your desired effect. And then I'm going to use the stamp set Open Seas by Stampin' Up. And I stamp a couple of different images, but I've kind of edited that out. I'm basically using that background stamp for, it's like a ledger kind of thing. It just gives a nice aged feel. And then later I will also use the ship, as you will see in just a moment. I test it out on a piece of paper just to make sure I've got good coverage and that it's stamping correctly and all of that. I usually do that every time. And you see it didn't cover the whole page, so I just line up the lines, and it makes a great little background effect. These stamps really are great quality, and the stamp blocks as well from Stampin' Up. I really enjoy using them. So here I go again with inking up my paper. You see, you get ink on the paper and it just wipes right up. I kind of wiped it up with the paper just to give it that paper effect. I love inking my edges. I'm going to ink just about everything. It just gives that good pop of color, and it helps it stand out on the card when you make it and put it all together. Just kind of gives it a good finished feel. The next thing you'll see me do is clean off my craft mat. It wipes off real easily with paper. The one negative is that it does get on my fingers a lot. I'm a messy crafter. I can't help it, but it's all part of the fun. So now I'm looking for a different color paper. This paper is not Stampin' Up, and it was just a scrap paper I had, but I'm stamping the anchor. I stamp it a couple of times because I can't decide if I want to use a circle punch or what. I've also stamped the little, what is it called, the north, south, east, west directional sign, the compass type sign, but I end up not using that. I'm just not real fond of that circle punch shape for this card, but found another piece of scrap paper. It's very similar to the paper that you can get in the Neutrals collection. I just had scrap, so I was using it. And here I'm tearing the edges just to give it that good aged feel. It's real easy to do. You just start at the top and you want to tear down. That gives it that tattered edge effect. And again, just work with it, eyeball it. You don't have to measure. This is the fun part of using scraps. And then you can ink it up as well, and just ink around those edges, and it gives it that good little aged effect. I'll also be attaching that ship that I make for the to go on top of that darker color, and I can't seem to get the size just right, so I'm going to work with it a bit. I put my use my snail adhesive from Stampin' Up just to kind of give it a place. And look at there is my Creative Memories cutting board. I have had that thing since about 1998, and I have never replaced a blade or anything. It's a great little small guillotine type for when I'm using small measurements and stuff. So there I am, just repositioning the ship to get on the back, and then I bring out my Stampin' Up! Fast Fuse because that scrap paper, the darker scrap paper that I have, has a little bit of a textured feel, and I just need a little bit stronger adhesive, and the Fast Fuse works perfect for that. The snail is great for just attaching things that are smooth, but that Fast Fuse really works best for when you are attaching something of texture or something like that. So here I'm using my Cutter Bee scissors, and these are great scissors when you want to just fussy cut something. They have a great flat edge where you can get it nice and neat. And I would rather not fussy cut anything again in my entire life, but sometimes it's necessary. So if you have the opportunity to buy a die set along with your stamps, I would recommend doing that every time. I'm just not a fan of fussy cutting things, but sometimes you have to, and this is one of those times. I wanted the anchor just to kind of pop out a little bit, so I just felt that looked better, so I did it. I went ahead and fussy cutted it. Here I'm using my large oval punch from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to stamp the greeting on there. I'm just using the greeting from the Good Greetings stamp set. This was a stamp set that you got from if you had hosted a party with Stampin' Up, and so I got this when it was special. It's now a retired set. It's not available anymore, but if you can get your hands on it, I recommend it because there are several little phrases on here. They're just great for greetings on your cards. So now I'm just using some twine that I have, and you know the saying that goes, measure twice, cut once. Well, I didn't heed that advice, and I cut it quickly, and I cut it a little too short. So I'm fiddling with it for a long time, trying to get that knot tied. And let me just tell you, be sure that you measure it because this is so annoying. I don't want to waste the twine, so I've fussed with it forever, and I finally get it. But I decided that just one wasn't enough, so I'm going to put 2 strings on there. And this time, the second time, I actually cut it long enough. So I'll work with that a little while and just get it tied up just so. Just a little knot. I'm not tying a bow or anything, again, because this is for a guy's card. And I put that greeting in between, but I just felt like it needed one other little thing. So I'm using the Tim Holtz scissors there. Those are the red handle scissors. Those are wonderful scissors for all sorts of materials. You see there I kind of edited out, but the 3 little dots by the greeting are actually brads. And I'm seeing if I want to put another brad on there, but for some reason my video stopped recording and I didn't get that on there. But I used my Crocodile to punch the holes in to put those brads in. Love my Crocodile. You can see it on the right side of the frame there, the little aqua and silver tip, kind of looks like a big staple gun, but it's a great hole punch and it sets the brads for you. So there I am, just attaching all my pieces now. It's coming together, and I'm just trying to use every little bit together. This is the 2-way glue pen by Stampin' Up. Love, love, love the 2-way glue pen. It's great for intricate pieces. And there I'm just using my little tweezers. I love these tweezers. They're reverse set tweezers made by EK Tools. I highly recommend those as well, just when you're trying to pick up little pieces that have glue on them and place things. This is my Stampin' Up! Piercing tool. I use it just to peel off little glue dots. Glue dots work really well underneath that twine, just to hold the twine in place. And I love that piercing tool. You can use it for all little delicate things like this. And so here I am getting the Believe word for the stamp. Again, this is out of the Good Greetings stamp set, and I hadn't even put on the label yet. So if you notice, I just peel back the labels and you use the back of the actual stamp. You stick it on to the label pad and then pop right up, and now you have the label on the back of your stamp. However, these don't stick real well to your blocks, so I try to do it because I was trying to be in a hurry. But as you'll see, it will not stay on the block very well. I stamp, 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 and it pops off. And I stamp, 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 and it pops off. And so finally I just get frustrated and I pick it up and I stamp it myself. But then I'm going to bring out my 2-way glue pen again, because this 2-way glue pen, if you let the adhesive actually dry on the thing, it just leaves a tacky, it's not actual glue that will stick forever, but it's just a little tacky surface. I'm using my Martha Stewart heating tool just to try to heat up that glue a little bit, because it does take a while for it to glue. I was about to burn my fingers. Even though it was hot, I will say this Martha Stewart heating tool doesn't really get as hot as I would like it to when I'm embossing and things like that. But anyway, it served its purpose here. I'm just using a regular emery board file here just to kind of tatter the edges, just to give it that little bit of a shabby look. And emery boards work great for this, as well as just kind of, if you have a little shard or shred of paper, you can just kind of, you know, rub it off a little bit with that emery board. Works great. So there I am testing it. It seems good enough now, and it sticks, voila, to my stamp set. To my stamp block. So there I stamp the image, and it comes out a little bit awkward, a little bit light. So I got my other stamp pad, the soft suede. It's just a little bit darker, and I'm going around inking the edges because I did have a little line. Using my Stampin' Dimensionals here, just some pop dots to kind of pop up that greeting. I like the way it brings it up a little bit. And there you have it. There's the finished card, but I noticed on the back I had some ink from my craft mat. So I'm just going to kind of ink the edges again and kind of give it that aged look. And then I'm just stamping it with my stamp that says "Made for You by Me," and it says Stampin' Up on it. That's just a good little way to kind of advertise your Stampin' Up business. So I stamp that on the back, let it dry a little bit, get out my image for the greeting on the inside. And this greeting I got from rubberneckers.com, I believe is what it was. I got it at a Scrapbook Expo, and it doesn't have a cover for the back, but it stuck fine because I didn't have that actual image cover on there. This is the first time I've used this stamps, so I'm going to get out my Stampin' Mist and my Stampin' Scrubber. And the Stampin' Mist is just a spray that you spray on. It kind of conditions your stamps. It also cleans them. So whenever I use a stamp for the first time, I do that. And the image is just a little Bible verse. It says, "Be strong, all you hope in the Lord." And again, since he's moving off to college, I'm hoping and praying for him to believe that God will work in his life there at college. So that's the little greeting that I use on the inside. Again, my Stampin' Trimmer is so great because it can precision cut an exact piece of paper. I don't have to waste the paper by cutting a whole big piece off or anything like that. So I like the way the greeting looks, but I do want to ink the edges. Surprise, surprise, me with inking edges. I just love doing that. So I ink those edges up really well and try to clean off my hands. The ink's getting everywhere by now. Trying to dry it a little bit just to soak up in the paper. Again, my fast fuse to get that greeting down so it doesn't rub off of the paper in the mail or anything like that, off of the card itself. And there you have it. There's the finished card. As you see, it's still a snug fit getting in and out of that envelope, but it worked just fine after I kind of pushed it down a little bit. So that is the finished project, and I thank you for joining me today. I hope that you will hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm new to YouTube, so I'm needing all the friends I can get. I appreciate your support and hope you'll visit me again at Scrap It Down.